I'd like to welcome you all to the debate this evening. We have Guerilla Improv and the Cambridge Union Debate Society representing. This debate is brought to you by the Cambridge Union, WPI, Guerilla Improv, and Earl Grey team. I'll give you some background on the Cambridge Union Debate Society. It was founded in 1850. Some prominent speakers have been Ronald Reagan, Diana, and Clint Eastwood. Currently, there are 4,500 undergrads and 85,000 graduates worldwide that have been part of the organization. Quite impressive. This particular debate has been for approximately 12 years. And that's all the background I have to give. Next will be introductions. We'll start on this side, and if everybody could stand and introduce themselves, their name, major, school, year. Go ahead.
I'm Neil Pomerleau, Aerospace and Computer Science, 2013.
I'm Maria English. I'm second year studying politics at Cambridge.
I guess I'm supposed to talk into the mic, yes. I'm Angela Davis. I go to WPI. I'm undeclared because I can't make decisions. No, just kidding. And I am undeclared, so there you go.
I'm Alex Gordon-Brown. I'm in my third year at Cambridge University and I'm studying mathematics. My name is David Hazel. I am a sophomore here at WPI and my major is mechanical engineering. So thank you.
I'm Tom Powell. I'm in the second year at Cambridge. My major is in sociology, and this microphone makes me feel like a Frank Sinatra impersonator. My name is Roy Pettibone. I'm a sophomore psychology major from WPI.
My name is Matt Hazel. I'm a second year vet at Cambridge, and thankfully, although we share the same name, I'm not actually related to Dave, which means our love is not legally prohibited.
I would like to bring this debate into order. Thank you. So how does the debate run? Well, we're going to start with the proposition. It will alternate back and forth throughout all four members of each team. After the third person from each team, we will open the floor for people to come up and either share their own opinions or ask questions to the debaters. These questions may be posed either to a team or to an individual. Each presenter will have 5 to 8 minutes, and by that I mean the people up here, not you guys. Please make it no longer than a minute, for God's sakes. There will be points of order. These are points of information that the other team may feel are relevant to what the opposing team is saying at the time. They may raise their hand, say point of order, and the person speaking may decline it. That's important. We'll get ready to go in 1 second. I just have to get myself in order here. I'm sorry, Neil, just 1 second. This one, hold on. Almost done. One second. Go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, roommate from last year who doesn't have a grad class tonight. I'm sure there are a lot of you out there. I'm Neil Pomerleau, joined tonight by Maria English, Angela, or Angie Davis, and Alex Gordon Brown. That's 2 last names. Some of us have traveled thousands of miles. Others of us just walked up the hill. But regardless of our origins, all 4 of us are here today to explain why the House is correct in saying that debates don't solve anything. We will be doing this in the form of a debate. Now, rest assured, there is absolutely no possibility of us solving anything, but we do hope to perhaps demonstrate some of the fundamental issues with debates. Tonight, you will be lied to, manipulated, and hopefully entertained, because that's all debates are good for. One of the fundamental problems with debates is that they are seated in disagreement, but solving things requires the exact opposite, cooperation. For example, let's talk about Ward. Hey, Ward. Ward and I disagree on everything. Ward thinks debates solve things. I don't. Ward is a Yankees fan. I root for the Red Sox. Ward has a crush on Ron Weasley. I prefer Hermione. Ward and I always have these bitter disagreements, and our debates about these topics are merely a symptom of that problem. Have our debates solved anything? Well, let's just say we've grown further and further apart, and we still haven't received replies to our fan mail to Emma Watson and Rupert Grint. Another core issue with debates is that we often can't reach an agreement on the axioms of a debate. For instance, for those of you who don't know what an axiom means, like my friend Dave over here, an axiom is a statement or proposition that is regarded as being true. You got that? All right. True. So both sides need to be able to agree that certain facts are true in order to have a foundation from which to build arguments. In this debate, for example, an axiom might be the definition of the very word debate. I obviously have a very clear understanding of what a debate is. It's what we're doing right now. Different groups who argue opposing points of view, hoping to convince the other side that their point of view is valid, which is completely different from just a discussion where the parties might not have preconceived notions of what they're talking about. But I understand this, but maybe my friend Dave here doesn't understand what a debate is, all right? He might need to look up the word bait, which is when a hawk beats its wings in an attempt to escape from the perch. He might then infer that debate is when a hawk decides to retract its wings to return to the perch. The next thing you know, Dave is trying to debate by walking around flapping his arms like a crazy person, while I'm trying to have a serious discussion. If we can't agree on axioms, we have no hope of solving anything.
Upon that point,
Yes.
look, I really like Ron Weasley, and I think we are going to disagree on that. But isn't what you're saying only true of like a handful of small cases? It's not about actual debating as a topic.
I think it applies in every situation. If there's anything that applies in every single situation, it's the stupidity of the US government. A fact that my British colleagues have been observing from afar. Why can't our government solve anything? Because of the debates. For example, the Obamacare debate, it put our politicians in a position to argue over petty details when our citizens were desperate for health care. Or remember the debt ceiling debate, which nearly put our nation's financial reputation in jeopardy. Each side was trying to confirm their own biases instead of listening to the other side. Nobody can come to an agreement. Perhaps we should look to other countries for a shining example of what life could be like without debate. Such countries as Russia, China, Singapore. where needless political discourse has been replaced by efficient, unencumbered policy decisions. I mean, let's even look to North Korea, where public debate is unheard of. Thanks to such policies, the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea has been proud to publish that they have a GDP nearly 3 times that of any other country, including the Soviet Union. And they have a 0% starvation rate. These are goals we should aspire to. But we've only begun to scratch the surface of our understanding as to why debates are useless. To continue this exploration, Maria will show us how debates have simply become a superficial form of entertainment. Angie will explain how the stupidity of people in general eliminates any possible usefulness for debate. And finally, Alex will address once and for all whatever ridiculous points Dave and everyone else comes up with, and he will summarize what we've learned as to just how useless debates are for solving anything. But as you watch tonight's debate, remember that the key problem with debates is this. Everybody is talking, but nobody's listening. As Dave prepares to make the opening remarks for the opposition, I have no intention of listening. I hope you will all do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. I think we all learned something from that, mostly what axiom means. Dave?
Everyone, good evening. Neil, thank you for that. Everyone else, thank you for bearing with that. I'm going to have to start out by saying not only do I know what the definition of axiom is, and axles, and axe holes, and the difference between the three, but I know the definition of the word debate. And although I don't look like a hawk or a big angry bird ready to snatch you from your seat to agree with me, I'm going to give you the real definition of debate to enlighten you. Debate, or to debate, or where one debates, is where two opposite sides of a certain viewpoint discuss and talk to each other in a respectful and honorable manner in ways to come up with a solution. Now, what is a solution, you might ask? You know, for my quadratics homework yesterday, I had 2 solutions. But for this debate, I will show you all that there is only one solution. And that solution is that debates can be solved. Now, my team over here, as you can see, lovely dressed, like myself, unlike these guys, are going to further go into how a debate can be a consensual decision, or can derive a consensual decision between 2 groups. Now, I'm going to quote one of my earlier colleagues who spoke today. And he threw the word stupidity out there. And when he was talking about stupidity, I had realized that he directly correlated that to not only myself, but to the United States of America. Now, Neil, I'll rhetorically ask you this simple question. Why is US and Great Britain, obviously, tied for the #1 position on the domination chart of the Earth? Now the U.S. has started a plan back in 1876. And their plan of our forefathers was that democracy and democratizing will make our country a better place. And now, what is democracy, you might say? What is democracy? Well, democracy is like a debate, because both words start with DE. And both words, both words end in a solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. You're handsome. You may take the stand.
Hi everybody, my name's Maria, and though that is a hard act to follow, I'm very honoured to be here trying to convince you that this debate, and indeed all debates, are a bit pointless and don't really solve anything, following on from the fine work that Neil did before me. First of all, I'd just like to start with a show of hands. Hands up those of you who came here to intellectually explore important political issues. Okay, cool. And how many of you came here to see Neil mock Dave and vice versa? Okay. I think what that indisputable socially scientific evidence shows us is that basically debates are divisive. Debates are about friend v enemy, about joke v joke, and who can joke the best about how stupid the other person is. And I'm going to leave it up to you to decide which of these guys has succeeded. And indeed, maybe we'll have some challenges further down the table. But the point is, it's definitely not what they think it is, which is a solution. In fact, we think it's the opposite of a solution. We think it's a problem. So, why does debate dichotomize and divide? Well, political issues, much like Dave, are many-faceted, complex, and often a bit confusing. The problem with debate is that it divides people, right? It divides people into teams. Look at this room. We've got the proposition on one side, we've got the opposition on the other side. There are only two possible sides that you could have in this debate, and you have to agree with just one side. You can't agree with both sides because then there's no winner. And you have to agree with everything that your side says because they're your team. So what does that mean? It means A, you get a really simplistic view of what it is that you stand for yourself. And B, it means you are going to demonize the enemy side as much as possible because by definition, they're your opposition. Now the US Republican primaries have been taking place recently, I've noticed. And Stephen Colbert had something interesting to say about this. He said that Super Tuesday is like the Super Bowl if the Super Bowl was one team slowly destroying itself. And I think he's right. And in fact, I don't really know that much about American football, but I have noticed it's quite aggressive. It seems to consist of big men charging at each other and trying to get a small object to the other end of the field. And political debate is exactly the same thing. People pick their star player. Like when people watch the presidential debates, they don't do it, just like this debate, they don't do it to watch some kind of deep political discussion and get lots of intellectual reflection on the issues of the day. What they want to see is their candidate landing the best hits on the other guy. And what's a hit? Well, a hit is a scandal. So, you know, if you can say that Obama is an atheist Muslim, people are probably going to believe you, and it's going to stick. Like, that is a massive hit. Pow, right there. Whereas if you say you disagree with Obama on the regulation of the utilities industry, Who's going to care? That's not a hit. So what we create is a debate where the best hits are the stupid things that aren't actually related to the issue that we're talking about. I think another good example of this is New Zealand, and that's where I'm from. And in New Zealand, we have the same problems that you guys do in America. We have these debates, and we have this thing called the worm. And what the worm is it's this line at the bottom of the screen when you're watching the presidential debate. And when the candidates say something the audience agrees with, they press a plus sign in this little handset thing, and the worm rises. And when they disagree, they press a minus sign, and the worm goes down. So, unsurprisingly, when candidates say words like freedom, democracy, and babies, the worm rises. And when they say things like, these policies might have a cost, the worm plummets deep, deep within the ground. So the point is, these candidates are encouraged to use these buzzwords like democracy, and we know Americans like democracy, and lots of other people in lots of other countries also like democracy, and the worm goes up. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not an exploration of the actual issues, and that's the problem with debate. Because fundamentally what it comes down to is the kinds of debates we have now, and they might say we have this vision, this utopian vision of debate as this great kind of genteel discussion where everyone's nice to each other, and they really just want the best for everyone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in the real world, debate is entertainment, right? No one watches C-SPAN. People watch, things that are exciting and glitzy. There's a reason that second to Barack Obama, the next most famous worldwide US political figures are Jon Stewart and Sarah Palin and Glenn Beck. Not because they're the best politicians, in fact, I think some of them aren't even politicians at all, but it's because they're really entertaining to watch. And then you have the after-match analysis, right? So the Super Bowl political competition has happened, but unlike the Super Bowl, after the match, the post-match analysis is really biased. It's not objective. I know you guys, lots of you like numbers and stuff, but we don't get numbers and stuff. What we get is each party saying, oh, we won the debate, we pwned them on every issue. You get replays of the best bit where he taught, where they said this guy is a Muslim or this guy, killed orphans or whatever. And so you don't get an objective analysis of the debate that occurred. What you get is a further skewing of people's opinions. So ladies and gentlemen, what debate does, it doesn't bring people together. It doesn't bring Dave and Neil together united and holding hands. It divides them and makes them want to be mean to each other. And we have a problem with that. And if you don't think that's a bad enough problem, even worse, debates don't just make things not get solved, it actually makes the problem worse. Because in a debate, you can't concede. So the only way that the opposition can prove this isn't true is to get up and concede our case, or at least some of our points. They're not going to, because they know if they concede some of our points, they'll probably lose the debate. And because people want to win, they're never going to compromise. They're never going to concede anything or say the other team might be right about something, because that makes them look like losers and them look wrong. Also, people doing the debate have different interests. So let's look at the debt ceiling problem again. And basically, the thing is, the Republicans weren't able to compromise with Obama because then they're handing him the victory on a golden platter. What they were incentivized to do in this debate was actually to argue as hard as they could for everything against what the president was proposing. Yeah?
I would like to concede that I would love to see Dave and Neil holding hands.
Any reason that they should lose this debate, I think it's definitely that, because obviously that was the most important argument that is going to decide what this debate means. So either way, we win. So I think basically what you saw with the debt ceiling, and you guys know more about what happens in America than I do, but I think you just know that basically what people are encouraged to do is argue for the extreme, argue as much for their own side as possible, make the other side look as like idiots. And of course, once you've said they're idiots, you can't then say you agree with anything they say because they're idiots, and so therefore what they're saying is idiotic, right? So what we can all agree on is there is this political bandwagon of debate trailing off into the distance, taking all these wackos and this entertainment industry with it, and who gets left behind? The people. So ladies and gentlemen, it harms the people, it harms the issues we're most proud to oppose.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wasn't really paying attention, but I did take some notes, and I learned that Obama is an atheist Muslim. that killed orphans. Which is interesting, I didn't know that. Opposition.
I mean, I'm very, very happy to be here, but one thing that makes me sad is how few of my fan club made it out. Sorry, guys, but thanks for you guys. I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to just use one example early on that I think kind of shows like why we win the debate, but then I'm going to make some arguments so like even if you didn't agree with like the example I use, like we kind of win. Like not only because the three of you here who raised your hands who could be persuaded, like that is a solution and you guys are great and I appreciate that, but because there are so many other things that like debates and debating offers, and this mic is really off-putting, isn't it? Like it's all over the place. Okay. Right, let's say I'm on like a quiet Tuesday evening in, like with my girlfriend. Actually, no, let's say like we're both rabbits, okay? Yeah? Now we're just sitting on the couch, like watching some TV, like watching Jerry Springer, because like it's fun, you know, it's funny, right? And she turns to me and goes like, what have you got for dinner? And I go, nothing, I didn't shop. She goes, you lazy Brits. You lazy, lazy Brits. And I go, all right. Well, look, I'll go out, I'll get something. I'll get some cabbage. She goes, I hate cabbage. I bloody hate cabbage. Well, all right, okay. What would you like? She goes, all right, lettuce. No, I hate lettuce. I cannot stand to have lettuce. And so, like, we argue a little bit. We're like, no, cabbage, lettuce, no. And then we go like, all right, this isn't working out for either of us, is it? We're coming at this from two opposing points of view. You want lettuce, I want cabbage. Let's compromise. Let's get broccoli. Okay? And, like, that is why we win on this side of the house. Because, like, debating essentially can be reduced to that in so many instances. Not all, but some. Because debating is compromise. Debating is broccoli. And finding resolutions and finding solutions is exactly what it does, not just in the rarefied environment of your lovely college here, but all over the world, in like pantries, in supermarkets, anywhere you want to name it. Like debates are taking place, and by God, they're getting answers. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of rebuttal, and then I'm going to make 2 points. The points being like the benefit added of having a debate, or like why debating is always good, and you never lose anything if you have a debate. Yay! And secondly, I'm going to talk about debating as view changing, as being able to like allow people to change their minds in a way that I think is like authentic, important, and true. And like the reasons that I give are going to be exactly the reasons why your country has the #1 position in the chart of world domination. And that is a fact. Okay. Like.
Point of information.
Oh yeah, sure.
How much money does America owe to China at the moment?
Hey, I don't write the chart, I just read the league table. But like a bit, but it's fine, right? Because you guys are better. Okay. I think actually one of the things that have come out of this side of the house, which we can talk about quite a lot, is the examples they use from American politics, is... Wow. I mean, I'm flattered, but I never thought I'd be seen as less interesting than Stephen Hawking. Wow. Okay, right. Let's talk about America. No?
Continue.
Okay. No, thanks. I'm going to say some stuff first. In a bit. Okay. Like, let's... Oh, go on then. Go on.
No, I was just going to ask, are those 3D glasses?
They used to be. I had the
Very nice.
lenses replaced because the fashion statement is just, oh my God.
Objection.
Can I talk now? Is that...
Objection.
It was a question, I'm sorry.
What?
Okay, cool.
You can't.
All right, like, I want to talk about, like, the importance of 2 things. Like, in Obamacare and in passing Obamacare, and in the debate that's followed, right, the debate on both sides of the House about, like, whether it's important and whether, like, the Supreme Court should strike it down, or whether if they strike parts of it down, they can continue, we see a couple of things. Firstly, in the origin of Obamacare, we see two sides, like, very, very opposed, with different plans initially. The Republicans, like, trying to deny it entirely, like, the Democrats, or some of the Democrats pushing it forward, like, in a much stronger view than it is now. right? And we see a process of several months of debate. We see heated arguments. We see the Republicans, often the core Republicans, saying, like, no, we don't want that at all, we hate that. And the Democrats slowly changing their position, right? They change the piece of legislation. It becomes watered down. What we now call Obamacare, like, thanks to Sarah Palin, cheers, Sarah, what we call Obamacare, like, is very, very different from what President Obama, like, initially pioneered as a universal healthcare model, right? It's changed. It changed by the process of debate. And whether or not you think it is a good thing, like, does not mean, like, that it's different from, like, an attempt to overcome a problem, which is what a solution is. So the fact that Obamacare and political action in that way even happens at all is evidence that, like, debates make solutions. There might not always be solutions that we think are the best, and, like, or they might be. Like, it depends on the case. We're not, like, trying to argue that all debates always have all the answers. Debates aren't miracle cures, but, like, sometimes they do. That's all we need to say, and, like, we think it's almost self-evident they do. Okay? Like, the importance, Maria talks about swing voters, like, in elections, shows that, like, people do change their mind. And they change their mind based on, like, a number of things. Like, sure, there are some idiots, right? I didn't mean to look at them, I swear. Like, there are some idiots out there who change their mind based on, like, whether Obama's a Muslim atheist. But, like, I don't want to patronize the great American people into saying that all of them are that. Like, some of them, like, go to really good, like, engineering universities and get great jobs, right? Some of them are amazing. And some of them, like, don't analyze in such a shallow way as has been described on this side. Okay, now I'm going to talk about my stuff. Yay. Okay, the benefit added. Like, I often don't know what I think, or what I'm going to say until I say it. Like, trouser, teapot, flamingo, whatever. Like, my thoughts are not necessarily determined from a particular point. The process of thinking is a process of evolution, it's a discursive process. And, like, often we find in conversation, in discussion, in debate, we find what we think. We're able to change what we think based on evidence, based on argument, and we think, like, that is a good thing, and that people, like, finding out what they think and changing their viewpoint, like, is not only, this mic is so irritating, is not only a good thing, but is a thing that leads to solutions, right? Like, debating is the free and honest exchange of views, like, in a no-loss category. Like, we can have a debate, and we do, like, in diplomatic relations, we have a debate, like, before we go to war, or we try and discuss, and we try and debate with other countries before, like, and if all else fails, we can invade, right? In this way, like, debating and trying to change the way that people look at things and try and compromise is basically, like, a way to try and prevent much worse outcomes. And if at the end of the day debating fails, which sometimes it does, like, there are always those options, right? From our perspective, right, the value of debating can be summed up thus. We should probably have a chat to try and sort this out before we fight. Right? Like, because, like, that's really important. The fact that people try and exchange ideas and views and, like, may well reach a solution, and often do, like, is just really good, I think. Right? Cool. I'm going to talk about my second point now, which is, like, debate as view changing. You guys want to make a point, or you cool? Great. Okay. I'm not a giant salmon, right? I'm not. But, oh yeah.
I think you are.
Yeah.
I think you aren't.
Now, this is interesting, because I've got two different sets of information. And what I'm going to do now is, seeing that there is a debate, because now I've seen there's a disagreement, they've generated an awareness of an issue for me. And this is exactly what happened when I thought I was a giant salmon. No, thanks. This is exactly what happened, right? I said to my mum one day, like, I don't know if I'm going to find another salmon who's going to, like, love me like I would like to be loved, another salmon to marry. She goes, what are you talking about? And I go, well, Mum, I'm a giant salmon. She goes, no. I go, okay, there's a debate here. I'm going to seek some information. I'm going to go to the doctor. That's some cool dancing, but you don't get to talk. Sorry.
But I wanna.
Sorry.
I'm allergic to salmon. I think that's important.
He said no.
It's okay. I can't always be the nice guy. Right. And basically what happened was, like, I was stern of the view that I was, but other people were stern of the view that I wasn't. A lot of people persuaded me that I wasn't. The only reason I'm able to stand here before you today and not think I should be, like, face down, like, 6 feet in the ocean, God, that was a mixed metaphor. The only reason I don't think I should be deep at the bottom of the sea is because, like, I'm not a salmon. That's fine. I know that. I didn't think I was. I was completely convinced that I was. But now I've realized the truth, and I owe that entirely to debating. Now, I just want to sum up, right? For crustacean love, for boiled and unboiled vegetables, for the most important aspects of life, for providing answers, and for guaranteeing you your spot as the #1 country in the world domination charts. Despite what she says about China, forget that, the #1 spot in the world domination charts. I am proud to propose that debating does solve things. I'm Tom Powell, and I approve this message. Thanks.
I also approve that message. I'm sorry for reading during your speech. I do have a debate to go to after this, and I'm talking about the Big Bang Theory, so I'm sorry about that. Next up.
I'm Angie.
Hi, Angie.
Hi, Greg. Okay, so this is my dress. I'm gonna put my coat on now because I'm cold. It's on now. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so just want to say a couple things. Thank you for you made my point. You were reading and not paying attention, and that happens a lot in debates. So you can make decisions now based on what they said, but you weren't listening, so they manipulated you. That's evil. That's evil. Or also, not everyone likes broccoli, okay? Not everyone likes broccoli. So you can, yes?
But some people do, and that's great, right?
Yes, but if you have a debate and the solution is broccoli and some people don't like broccoli, the people who don't like broccoli aren't going to be very happy. I would say that's a fail at a debate solution. Yes, Dave?
If broccoli was war in the Middle East, does that still mean we have come to a decision?
Dave, I said broccoli. Broccoli is broccoli. Thank you. Okay, so this is an annoying mic, but that's okay. So, one of the reasons debates don't work is because they're run mostly by stupid people. Neil said that, and I said it. Yes. This in turn makes the audience be swayed. Hi, Greg. I didn't say Greg personally. I like him. He's Greg. But this in turn makes the audience make decisions swayed by stupid things. That causes more stupid problems. For example, Bush, Palin, do I have to elaborate? No. Another example, O'Reilly, who's really loud, so he must be right. Dave, hi Dave. Dave's okay with killing bunnies, did you know that? No. So, as Neil had once stated, debates are filled with people who only wish to be heard. They don't really listen. I listened to him, and you didn't talk yet. Neither did you. I heard you speak before, though, so I listened. Anyway, so people, they just speak louder to get their opinion heard. For example, let's say someone, he may have a weak opinion. Let's call this person Dave. So, they have a bad opinion in an argument, but they speak louder. So if someone who's intelligent and wise and has a very strong argument, let's call this person, I don't know, Angie. So they're trying to state their good argument, but they're overpowered by a stupid person's louder voice. So they lose. No. So poor Angie won't be able to get her idea across because Dave's way too loud. This happens a lot in debates. Also, science! We're at WPI, we like science here, yes. Science is commonly, thank you, clap some more. Not now, I'm talking. Science is commonly the solution to issues that don't need to be or shouldn't be debated in the first place. Stupid people don't understand science, do they? They're not at WPI. So they say, hey, let's just argue about it for a really long time and create more problems. Issues like global warming, climate change, evolution, things with science are implied in them. You don't need debates for that. You need science. Facts, that's good, right? We like facts. Good. My last point. If a certain, not a last point, I probably have more to say. That's okay. Yes.
Cool. Can science solve political problems? Like, did the founding fathers use like science to write the Declaration of Independence?
I said science solves some problems, not all problems, but with political things, moral issues, you know, can I just say no? I like that word. Yes, Dave?
I think the topic for this debate is that some debates can solve anything. Just a reminder.
I think you're handsome. Also, certain perspectives, if they're backed by certain celebrities or authority, people will agree with it for that reason only. They will be like, oh, Hulk Hogan and the Terminator like killing bunnies. So it's okay. That's bad. We don't want that. So in Dave, you're always on my mind, Dave. In closing, yes.
Back off his mind.
Hypothetical Dave. Hypothetical Dave. The mic. Hypothetical Dave is not a very good person, is he? Anyway, debates.
Madam,
Yes?
he is in my dreams.
That's creepy. What?
Matt's also the man of my dreams, too.
I didn't understand that because I wasn't listening. Yes. So, anyway, I am an example. I'm not listening. A lot of people in debates, they don't really listen to what's going on. And then they make decisions about it. And then it just is bad. And also, I think some people talked disrespectfully and unhonorably. And you had said that a debate is two people speaking honorably and respectfully, and I said that you killed bunnies, and that's a lie. So I'm not being respectful. Yes?
Can I offer my most profound and sincere apologies for any disrespect we might have uttered?
Oh, that was so nice. I still don't like broccoli. He also littered. Thank you.
Thank you. That was insightful, entertaining. Adjective. Ward.
Howdy. Can you all see me? Can you at least see the tux? Paid good money for that tux. All right. I'm Ward Pettibone. Angela, I was listening very closely.
What?
And although broccoli may not be your favorite solution, it is a solution. Debates can solve things. And broccoli is frankly the least of our worries tonight.
It was a metaphor.
Excuse me.
Please raise your hand.
Thank you.
It was a metaphor.
Might I remind the fine ladies, gentlemen, and others who are assembled here that the topic of this debate, which may have been slightly mangled by certain sides, is that debates do not solve anything. I, of course, do not believe this. Taking that premise, I would posit that solutions need not be absolute or final. My very first day at WPI was a fine institution, which I am proud to be a part. My introduction to programming professor told us that for any computer programming problem, there are an infinite number of solutions, all equally correct. This did not bear out to the first exam, but that's beside the point. As we heard earlier, quadratic functions, plus or minus, multiple solutions, neither one better than the other, neither one even that great at all. I don't like quadratics, but they're solutions. You can have an internal debate, plus or minus. Does it make a difference? Yes, it does, and you have a solution, and you can move on to the next problem, and hopefully not an R. Even if neither side is happy with the solution, the airing of ideas might well lead to innovation, which is really big here. New ideas, getting the ideas out there to ferment in everyone's minds. It's a nice image. Further, debates allow for progress to be made. I'll get back to that in a minute, but first I just want to say, Dave, Matt, Neil, can I get in on this? Yeah? Maybe not Neil. Neil. Alrighty. He doesn't smile. Maria, might I remind you that winning isn't everything. Winning is completely one-sided. We want a compromise. We want a solution. Winning is not debating. I don't know about you. Go for it.
We want to win tonight.
Sorry?
We want to win tonight. We don't want to compromise.
We'll see about that. Neil. This week, we heard from our favorite place in the country, Washington, D.C., about health care, which is fascinating. But to get to a compromise, to get anywhere at all, we needed to decide on the first day. We spent 2 hours deciding whether we could even talk about this at all. That's how important debate is. We couldn't even do anything without debating whether we could debate. I mean, that's recursion if I ever saw it. We need to get X out of the way in order to get anything done. Am I right or am I right? I gave you choices. Further, Maria, I'm sorry. Angela, no, I'm done with you. I don't have these labeled. Neil, Neil, my favorite, okay. Stupidity of people, I like that quote. I have no further comment on that. Now, we took a poll earlier, as some of you may have noticed. Some of you raised your hands. Some of you didn't. Some of you raised your hands twice. I was watching. I can see into your souls. It's a dark place. But you can skew your data any way you want, and intelligent people clearly have the majority here tonight. That was weak. Sure.
If debates create more problems than they solve, do you think you can say debates solve things?
Absolutely. They don't solve everything, but they solve some things. All we need is one counterexample. Math majors, anyone? Yeah. I like your hair. So, I think debates do solve things. I think our solution might well be broccoli. It's a solution, not my favorite, but it's a solution and it was solved by debate. And broccoli is the reason why the US is #1 in the chart of world domination. Good night.
Thank you, Ward. Your voice is so beautiful. All right, so this is floor open time. open for, I forget what it's actually called, but anybody may come up to that microphone right there and share their feelings, ask questions to either side. Keep it short, keep it sweet. Anyone? What's your name?
My name is Megan Can, and I would like to inquire about what you guys think about the fact that quadratic equations have imaginary solutions sometimes.
I'll take one response from each side. Go ahead. You guys look eager.
Well, I'll take it. I don't know if you want to go first. Okay. Now, I'm going to define an imaginary number as the letter I. And I...
Sometimes J.
Okay, sometimes J. From my middle school math experiences, I know that J is equal to I. So I is equal to the square root of
Continue.
-1.
Said continue.
Continue?
Yeah.
I was continuing.
Okay. Hurry up.
So as I just discreetly defined the variable I, we can now understand that it is not imaginary, but finite. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's science.
All right, I'm really glad that Dave knows 2 letters of the alphabet. That's awesome. Congratulations. No. Imaginary solutions, they solve imaginary problems. We're dealing with real problems here, people. We need real solutions, not imaginary ones. And some people don't have good imaginations, and then there's just... Hi, everyone.
And there you have it. Okay.
Hello.
And your name?
My name is Andrew. I have a question. It's mostly for you to somewhat for you, but it's for this side. So I noticed that most of you've pigeonholed a debate to be mostly politics, but you can have other sorts of debates. You can have scientific debates, and I know they brought that up with the debate of whether or not he was a salmon. He solved that with science. That was a scientific debate. He had it with his doctor, but he solved it with debate, and it wasn't. What do you say? Debate, not politicable debate.
Well,
Well said. Well said.
to address your comments about science, I would say that the big difference between what we consider debate and science is that debaters go into a discussion with preconceived notions where they're trying to defend their own positions, whereas scientists try to disprove positions.
Well spoken.
I am not a salmon.
That's debatable.
Okay, so my question's for...
Your name?
Oh, hi, I'm John.
Thank you.
So my question's for this side. And if you win, don't we prove that debates are useless and therefore you lose?
Equally, if we lose, we win by the same logic in reverse.
Good point.
Very good question, very good answer. Thank you.
My name's Taman Beal. This question is for the opposition. Isn't the difference between a debate and a dialectic that in a debate, your goal is specifically not to find the truth, but to defeat the other side? I mean, you guys are never going to come to an agreement with them. You can't. That's not the purpose of a debate. Do you have a response to that?
I mean, like, this is a debate, but there are hundreds and thousands of different debates all over the world, some of which don't, like, put us on a side and make sure we're not allowed to change from it. Like, most of which, even if, as the previous question mentioned, we go into them with preconceived notions, like, as you mentioned, they are not fixed notions, right? And, like, there is absolutely, in all debating formats, an opportunity for progression, opportunity for change, and opportunity for, like, an attempt at a decision, a solution, or a compromise. And we think that's great.
Yeah. Sit down. Hi, my name is Chris. This question's for Angela.
You said that in a debate, the loudest person usually wins.
What? I can't hear you. You have to be louder.
You said that in a debate, the loudest person usually wins. We all know that black people are the loudest people on this earth. How do you explain slavery?
Yes, Angela, how do you explain that? How do you explain that, Angela?
The question was for Angela.
Yes, Dave, thank you. Hi. A good man, Abraham Lincoln.
I might add that if you say anything wrong, I might construe it as racism.
I am also a minority. I'm half Hispanic. I don't know if you know that because I'm also Irish, so you probably can't tell. That's just a fun fact for all of you. Slavery's bad. We all know that. Thank you.
I think that was the best answer you could have given. That was good.
I'm Bernadette, and I'd like to question the validity of your scientific poll at the beginning of this debate. I don't know if any of you saw the program, but it was advertised with WPI Guerilla Improv. And I know that Guerilla Improv is a comedy group, so I came expecting comedy. And I also saw that it had British people, and they're British guys in suits. So that's another reason why I came. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think you've just given even more reasons other than intellectual exploration for why people like debates. Thanks for coming.
My name is Eric, and this is mainly directed to the opposition gents. You have referenced a lot of times in your debates, actually in all three of yours, that America is #1 on the chart of domination. Now, I'm really convinced, by you guys, and I'm actually going to side with you, but I just have one question. Did Battlefield 3 or Call of Duty determine, who is at the top of domination?
No, it was debates.
That wasn't the answer I was looking for. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Goldman. I have a question specifically for Maria. Are you single?
I think I'm going to borrow Angela's wording here and say I'm, what is it? Undeclared.
I'm Maria, and I have a question directly for you guys. I'm just curious, do you think debates cause more solutions or just cause more riffs, such as, Dr. Seuss's The Great Butter Battle? It's pretty much the Cold War.
I think, interestingly, to be serious for a second, at the end of the Cold War, there was a tremendous dialogue between East and West about the changing political formations, right? One that actually, helped mean... Oh, so you want to talk? Well, one that helped, ensure that there was much, much less conflict than there could have been,
I'm actually more interested in his hand motions than what you're saying right now.
Me too, I hear myself sometimes as well.
Make them into the mic. Well, to answer your question, Dr. Seuss not only was a main part in the reason why the Cold War was ended, but so was Sam, the man who liked green eggs and ham.
Okay, now I want to hear his.
Yes.
Through debating and discussion, we can find answers, which might not be final or resolute, but are certainly good for quite a lot of the time, and sometimes good for all of time.
I like Dr. Seuss, and people who rhyme, I will listen to them more than you.
I listen to them all the time.
Okay.
My name is Mark, and I have a question for the opposition. If debates are meaningful, what have you guys accomplished so far? What is this debate currently accomplishing? What is the meaning of what you guys have done so far?
Just to rephrase your question, just to make sure I understand it, you're asking us what we've accomplished so far?
Yes.
Okay. What the opposition has accomplished so far is to reveal to our audience that not only is any debate solvable, but this one specifically is definitely going to have a solution.
Thank you. Okay, this is going to be the last one right now.
I'm Nick, and I have a question for actually both sides. When Maria, I think it was you, how you were talking about our debt to China, how come neither of you brought up that we could sell our atheist Muslim orphans to set off our debt? So how would you two go about that?
Very carefully.
I'm really bad at haggling, so.
Thank you.
This is out of turn, but bring it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we've heard here today is a really good example of why debates don't work. The opposition have been oversimplified, unrealistic, and a lot of the things they've said are really just plain untrue. That shouldn't be convincing, should it? I haven't actually told you what they've said. I haven't told you why it's wrong. I haven't told you why we're right. And yet it somehow works. That's rhetoric, and it's a very common thing. No, thank you, not yet. Very common debates, obviously, very powerful, far too good at convincing people. Far too good for the opposition's idealistic view of a debate where people rationally and calmly and gently, how much of this has been gentle? Gently reach a compromise to stand. It's just not how debates work. I also want to stress about one last thing they said, which I think is quite important, that because the phrasing is, this House believes that debates don't solve anything, they just need one counterexample. That's not true. It sounds like it's true, again, because of the way it was rhetorically phrased. But if I'm a Republican and I make a statement like, Obama hasn't solved anything, and one of you comes up to me and says that with your intimate knowledge of Obama's family household, you know that he has actually resolved many disputes between his two girls, I'm probably not going to consider that a fair response. That's probably not what I meant when I said Obama hasn't solved anything. I didn't mean he literally has not solved a single thing in his time in office. Yet that's the way the opposition have chosen to interpret that. No, thank you. What we generally mean is he's probably made more problems than he's made more problems than he's solved. He hasn't really pushed the country on. He hasn't made progress. And what I'm going to show to you today is why debates don't make progress. So let's have some examples of the things that we've heard today already, some actual quotes. So one of the speakers, when they stood up, was saying, the other team has said, blah-de-blah-de-blah, I, of course, disagree. Why, of course? It's of course because it's a debate, because we all have to argue our positions. You don't even know whether I believe the things I'm saying right now, because I didn't get a choice about which side to be on in this. I'm on the proposition, so I'm arguing that debates don't solve anything. You'll never know if I even believe the things I'm saying to you. It's very sad. Furthermore, we had things like, we want to win. We've had tons of sarcasm. We've had some of the most ridiculous examples I've ever heard. How did this debate become about broccoli, Tom?
Isn't sarcasm great?
Oh, it's fabulously entertaining. It's wonderfully entertaining, and I hope that you guys have all had a great time. You certainly seem to have been laughing plenty. But it doesn't solve anything. That's all debates are good for. They are entertaining, they're comedy, they're great fun to do, I hope they're fun to watch, but that's not what we're talking about today. So why don't they solve anything? What's the problem? So another example of why they don't, one reason is that a lot of the time you're not really focusing on the things that I'm saying. Half the people in the room aren't looking at me. Half of them are looking at Dave, trying to work out what I'm going to say about him next, like the other 3 speakers on my team, continuing the ad hominem attacks. The other half are just saying, my God, wouldn't he shut up already? That's the problem with debates. Like Matt over there. That's the problem with debates. When we had the floor questions, someone was saying, the hand motions are more interesting than what you're saying. Body language is massive. If I say a whole series convincing things to you, but I say it with my hands on my head, it just looks a bit ridiculous. You're not going to listen to what I'm saying. You're not going to be convinced. But if I have my hands out like this, and they seem to be moving in a methodical way, depending on what I'm saying, suddenly I'm much more convincing. What I have said has not changed one iota. What is true has not changed one iota. The solution to the problem we're discussing has not changed, and yet your opinion has massively changed. Doesn't this strike you as just a little bit of a problem with the way debates work? More problems. So I'm going to go through 3 more problems, which we've already discussed in some detail. We're going to talk about axioms, I'm going to talk about how people are just plain stupid, and I'm going to talk about how compromise isn't the answer. So let's get on with axioms. Debates cannot prove anything a priori. This is not mathematics. This is not science. I am drawing on a whole range of common conceptions, misconceptions, assumptions, and ways that you think in every single thing I am saying. I said, you'll find me less convincing if I put my hands on my head. I can't prove that. I just reckon it's probably true. That's the thing with debates. You need things that both sides agree are probably true. Yes, Tom?
Sure, rhetoric is sometimes misleading, right? But seriously, all political solutions are made by a process of debate. Has politics, never solved anything ever?
So this is an interesting point. All political solutions are made by a process of debate. We don't think that's true. We think there are a lot of ways to get to political solutions. We think you can educate people. You can inform people. When there are facts, you can give them the facts. When there are real reasons to do them, so you can give them those reasons. We think debates are a terrible way of communicating those reasons for the things I've already laid out and will continue to lay out. So what was I saying? I was talking about axioms and how debates can only prove anything up to a point. And that point is where people can start disagreeing. If you look at the abortion debate, it basically comes down to one side saying fetuses are alive and the other side saying they're not. These are both axioms. You cannot prove these either way. It's a semantic debate about what we consider to be alive and whether fetuses fall into that category. That's not anything debate's ever going to solve, yet we have massive debates about it, right? It rages on and on and on, consuming endless news time, endless hours of people's lives that could be frankly spent doing something far more productive. That's the damage debates do, and we don't think the benefits are nearly great enough when you consider just how much is spent back and forth, disagreeing over the basic axioms, because the sides can't even start to find a common ground to start their arguments from. Next, people are stupid. This is why the opposition's argument about how people change their minds isn't actually very good. If they change their minds for the wrong reasons, they might as well have not changed their mind at all. So in what ways do I mean people are stupid? So people can't often discern between good arguments. There are numerous studies and plenty of evidence people have certain biases in how they view statistics, and how they view facts, and how they view information. The death of one person is a tragedy, the death of 1 million people is a statistic. Then there's another way, which has just been highlighted by what I said. People will naturally accept authority. Because I'm standing here on this podium and I'm speaking in a vaguely confident way that makes it sound like I think I know what I'm talking about. You probably just accepted everything I just said about the studies without really thinking about it. Does that seem good to you? You don't know whether the studies exist, but now you believe everything I said because I told you they exist. And certain politicians have made a little bit of a habit of using these things. Obama is a Muslim. So you can't, no thank you. People are not very good at distinguishing between fact and opinion. People don't go and check, people don't go and get all the information, which means that they have no way of distinguishing between the good information in a debate and the misinformation in a debate. And the misinformation is just as damaging as the good information might be good. So when people change their minds, it doesn't help. We can say similar things when it comes to compromise. People are compromising on the basis of incorrect information. They're compromising on the basis of the things I've talked about, of rhetoric, body language, turns of voice, sarcasm, entertainment, confidence. None of these things have anything to do with what's true. None of these things help you find a good solution. None of these things actually make the world a better place in any meaningful sense. It's tremendous fun, but for the sake of your country, I hope you will agree with the proposition that in the end, debates just don't solve anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Opposition?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to say some things, and I hope you believe them, because that would be great for this side of the house. What things am I likely to say? I'm probably going to talk a little bit about this kind of, this definitional quibble that we've had out of these guys about what we think debates are, what we think the motion is, and why these guys don't understand axioms, and most specifically the axiom of contradiction, right? Something can not simultaneously be true and not true. I'm going to tell them why Alex, as a mathematician, probably should have told the rest of his team about this, and why this falls on our side. I'm going to talk about the kind of bizarre claims the proposition has made, and why they're not actually really relevant to anything we want to talk about. I'm going to talk about, actually the benefits of debate, which were largely just kind of sidelined and ignored by these guys. I'm then going to talk about the other solutions we have, right? Presumably, both sides of the house do agree on one thing, and that's like solutions might sometimes be useful, and we might want a way of, reaching solutions, right? If these guys don't think debates are a good way of reaching solutions, presumably they want some kind of other method of doing that. I'm going to probably, speculate as to what that might be and why that might be terrible. And then, I'll say something like finishing, and, maybe at some point I'll make a joke. That would be nice. But don't count on it. So, first things first. Contradictions, how do they work? The motion says, quite clearly, this House believes that debates do not solve anything. Debates cannot solve a single thing. If we show a debate solves one thing, the statement that debates don't solve anything, no thank you Alex, and that debates solve a thing cannot simultaneously both be true. Thus, when Alex says, if they prove one example they don't win, actually Alex, yes we do. So, stony silence from these guys. Come on guys, you're debating to a technology college. These guys love maths. No, thank you Maria, you're a sociology major, you don't know anything about maths.
On that point?
No, not you either, you've said your piece, Alex. Right.
On that point?
No. So the proposition, what have the propositions said to us today? They've said lots of things. They've said, Republicans are stupid. Plausibly true. They've said people are often stupid. Again, true. They've said climate change, this is an issue and sometimes people argue about it, but they don't do anything because, apparently there's a scientific solution for climate change that is just the be-all and end-all of this. One, obviously not true, otherwise people will be doing it. There are lots of different ways to solve climate change. No, thank you. We could be building wind farms, we could be building, hydroelectric power stations. We could not even be doing any of these things. We could just be building seawalls, or we could just be, holding two fingers up to Belgium and Bangladesh and say, drown, we don't really like you anyway. There are lots of different solutions to the issue of climate change insofar as it is an issue. This is what the debate about climate change is about. We're not debating that 1 + 1 is either 2 or 3. We're debating about what the application of 1 + 1 being 2 might be, right? That is what a scientific debate is about. No one is actually disputing things that we accept as true.
On that point.
And so, no thank you. And then they come up with lists of things like, abortion, people argue about that. Christians get really angry about that. Again, we largely agree. These people probably should chill out. But the point is, right, the fact that they can give us examples of debates that might be pointless, might not solve anything, again, does not show that all debates never solve a single thing. We are quite happy to agree on this side of the house that some debates really are quite pointless. Some debates are never going anywhere. Maybe this debate is one of them. That doesn't invalidate our claim that debates sometimes solve things. We say, as we have said, if we can solve, one problem through the medium of debate, and we think we can, and we've given you lots of examples, I'll give you some more, maybe I'll just restate the things we've said, then we win. But first, Maria.
Do you think people get into debates to find the objective truth or to serve their own interests and convince everyone else that they're right when they think they are?
Okay, one, yeah, maybe. So people do that. Who really cares? The point is, if debates do solve things, maybe people get into debates and think, hey, I'm actually really right about this thing, so I'm going to tell everyone why I'm right, and then I'll mislead people into believing me, and then they'll believe me. What if I was right in the first place? Like, presumably you're saying there are, like, to all these issues you say debates never reach a solution, right? Presumably, for this concept to like hold any kind of water, there has to be a solution, right? It's not inconceivable, therefore, that one of the two parties of the debate, or a compromise, or a third path that they might take, at least in one instance, given that there have probably been like millions of billions of debates we've had, like reaches a sensible solution. And we've given you examples where debates do reach like specific solutions. Good work, Dave. You tell them. Right. Benefits. So what does debating actually do other than, solutions? Like, interesting question. Is people having fun and enjoying a debate a solution in of itself? Presumably you came here and thought, I'm bored this evening. I have nothing better to do. Maybe I could do work, but I don't like work. Maybe my friends don't like me, so I'm just going to sit in a room and listen to some British people talk. Like, you can do whatever you want, but has your evening been solved by this debate? Has your, void of, like, the entertainment void of your life been solved by this debate? Maybe it has. You guys can decide. Right, things that debates have solved. With these guys bizarrely brought up Obamacare, which is interesting, given that at the point at which Obama tried to introduce Obamacare, the Republicans just said, they stuck up two fingers and said, no, jog on, like, we're not having this, right? And then, suddenly, now, Obamacare appears to have been, at least in some watered-down form, introduced. What has changed? Compromise. That's what's changed. Obama said, okay, angry Republicans, you don't like what I have to say. That's cool. I'll say something slightly different. And the Republicans are like, nah, it's not good enough, mate. And, this cycle repeats a given number of times. And eventually, Obama says something and the Republicans go, actually, maybe that's not so bad. And they let it through. And lo, hey presto, debating has solved something.
On that
right?
point.
No, thank you. Again, right, the gentleman talks about slavery. How do we solve slavery? Two interesting examples. One, England. William Wilberforce says slavery is a really terrible idea. The Houses of Parliament go and talk about this for a bit, and they decide, you know what, slavery, that's really bad. And it's illegal. Job well done. In America, they go, hey guys, slavery's really bad. Let's have a debate about it. Texas goes, no. And there we go. We have the Civil War. Right. This is an example of where debating is probably better than the other option, which is lots of really angry rednecks. And when I say really angry, I mean really angry, right? They still got the Confederacy flag flying above Texas. Like, they are still hung up on this, right? Like, maybe if they just had a debate all those years ago, we wouldn't have had lots of people dying in the Civil War. We think a solution, even if it might be imperfect, like of people compromising, is probably always better than a solution where lots of people die and lots of people get really angry, and we still have lots of, racial, socioeconomic divides that persist to this day. Right, what other solutions do we have if we don't do debating? Number one, people kill each other. That's never good. I'm not even going to say more about that because it's just true. So, what do we like? Democracy, especially in the USA, because USA is best, right? USA is number one. World domination, champions of the world. And why is the USA world domination champion of the world? Because of democracy, because of freedom and democracy. These words don't mean much, but Americans like saying them, so if I say them enough, you guys might believe me. But the point is, democracy is actually quite a good way of solving things, right? Because, like, oh no, the worm. Well, funnily enough, I don't care about your worm. Your worm is biased. Like, I can say the worm is biased and a bad thing without ceding my entire case. So maybe I'll do that. You can make childish hand gestures. But this man over here is rising higher than any of you. So sit down. Look at that. Do you have that reach? Kneel. 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 No, you do not kneel. Insofar as I can call you Neil. Interesting question. What is Neil? Who is Neil? When is Neil? Who knows? But, so yeah, in summary, USA is best. Like China, what do they make? They make little toy planes that are made of metal. They have human rights abuses. Like, sure, they might have some money, but their economy is just as dependent on ours as ours is on theirs. So that claim, like, is just a lie. So what am I trying to say in this kind of really roundabout and probably quite offensive, like, 10-minute diatribe I've just given you? What I'm saying is this, right? We have learned some things through this debate. We have reached some solutions. Tom has found out that actually he's not a salmon, and that's great. We have found out that Republicans often say some things that people don't like, and sometimes people believe them when they say stupid things. But we have learned that actually, in some cases, debates can bring solutions, and if we can show a single solution that debating is brought, we've given you lots, then we win, because something cannot simultaneously be true and not true. This is just like a fact. This is not a cost-benefit analysis. When these guys say, but what if, whilst creating solutions, debates create more problems? Like, I'm not even going to bother responding to that, because even if it is true, like, they're still creating solutions, right? Like, if I create a solution and then make a problem, cease your
Wrap it up.
practice. Right, like you're eating Ritzes. No one even eats those with tea. Like, you have no credibility. Anyway. Sure, debates sometimes are stupid. Sometimes people say things because they're funny. Sometimes people say things that are lies. Sometimes people believe them and vote badly because of it. But the point is, sometimes they solve things, and that means we win.
Thank you. Okay, there will be no more information presented to the audience at this time. We will vote. So, by a round of applause, hold it till I finish what I'm saying. The proposition said that debates don't solve anything. Here they are over here. Please applaud if you think they won. Thank you. Thank you. Now we have the opposition over there, who said that it is not true that debates don't solve anything, so debates solve things. Please applaud now if you agree with them. That's good. Most people are. The opposition wins. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad they won, because it would have been awkward if the side that said nothing gets solved won. And I wouldn't have known what to do with that. So thank you all for coming. Maria has a final closing.
Quickly want to say massive thank you to WPI for having us here today. We've had just an awesome day, lots of fun. Really enjoyed looking around, seeing how you guys do things here. Pretty impressive. Thank you very much to our fellow debaters, and you guys are debaters, not just improvisers. So we look forward to coming back hopefully again soon. And we've just got a small gift to give to Jim, who has been just awesome organising everything.
Jim, come on up here.
Come on up, Jim. Yeah, just thanks so much, Jim, for all your hard work. Not just this time, but what time is it now? Up to 12? Like, we've been here loads of times, and Jim's just been like doing everything. So we really appreciate it. We like it.
Thank you, but I want to thank all the students that participated. The students made this program the great program it was tonight. Thank you all for coming. It's a great tradition. We'll continue to have it every year. Thanks to Guerilla Improv and the students from Cambridge Union. Thank you.
That's it. Hope you had fun. Go home. Do homework.